Well, let's get some more now with Republican strategist and attorney from Florida, Amanda Makki. Amanda, thanks for your time today. Have you been able to find the words to describe how you're feeling about what's happened this morning?
Yeah, this is just a true tragedy. No way else to put it other than something horrific that happened on a college campus, somewhere where you should feel safe, and somewhere where Charlie Kirk was expressing his First Amendment opinions and really taking questions from young people on college campuses. So it's really heinous to think we send our children to go to these colleges and then there are these acts of violence that happen. Someone was assassinated on a college campus today for merely having a conversation with young students. And that's in essence what happened. So I think everyone is mourning the loss. And as you heard in your monologue, that you have AOC, both sides, everyone's coming out and, just in complete shock and horror of what's happened. But I really think this is going to have a dampening effect on the ability for politicians to continue to go and express their opinions and political operatives to do the same, like Charlie Kirk was on both sides of the aisle.
I mean, we saw it's a different story with the president, but we saw after Trump the attempted assassination on him and security changed around him, and you had, the glass that was in front of him to stop anything of that nature happening again. I mean, how might this affect people who might be seen as controversial from speaking in public? Will they have to increase their own security now in the United States in 2025?
So here's the problem. I ran for Congress, and when you're running for office, unless you're the president, and that only comes when you become the nominee of the party, you're not getting any kind of protection. So if you stand up there and give a speech and someone doesn't like it, and in a state like Florida where people are allowed to carry guns, that's something that you worry about. Now, I myself am a gun owner, and I would never encourage the reducing of people's ability to have guns. But I think what's important here is, why is this happening, and how does this dampen the ability for people to have a dialogue? We are not able to have a dialogue in this country right now because people are going to be afraid of violence happening. If it can happen to the president of the United States, it can happen to this 31-year-old man who is just having a conversation. Everyone's going to be afraid.
So why do you think it's happening? I mean, what's the rhetoric that's leading to it?
Well, I think since really the days of President Obama, you really had a dividing of this nation. And, the way that it's supposed to happen is supposed to be through a peaceful process of, whether that's protesting or whether that's expressing your voice. And this happens on both sides of the aisle. I can't believe that they would do this to someone like Charlie Kirk, who obviously is an activist, someone who has been active for, about a decade with Turning Point, or just over a decade, I should say, with Turning Point, and he's been successful. So maybe on the other side, they viewed him as a threat. I mean, I hate to think that we could be so sinister in our thoughts, but unfortunately, that's what's happening. And it's happening more and more. And as I've said, members of Congress, politicians, those types are going to be afraid. But what about the people who want their kids to learn about the civic process, who want their kids to be involved? This is going to scare them from doing that. And that's the unfortunate reality. But what Charlie Kirk did was amazing for having that dialogue, bringing about that dialogue from both sides of the aisle, people with opposing views, obviously on college campuses. I think he did a lot for the Republican Party to bring the youth in by changing their philosophies. It's a real shame what has happened. And I really grieve for the family, Erica and his two children, what they're now going to have to go through.
Yeah, and we've had, Amanda, and I agree with that point. I mean, we've had guests on the show today saying, both sides are responsible for this inflamed rhetoric in the United States at the moment, but it seems to be, the extreme left wing that is attempting to assassinate, and in this case has been successful in assassinating someone. So should this, or will this, put a spotlight on left-wing violence?
I think it will, and it has. I mean, since the July event in Pennsylvania, when President Trump was just barely missed his ear. It's so hard to believe that he wasn't. I mean, that's really the scariest part, is to think what would have happened to the United States if he had been assassinated. And he was just, less than an inch from his life. And what happened there was just the start of what we've continued to see. Now, you can go back and see where Steve Scalise, the majority leader of the Republican Party, he was shot in
Yeah.
2017. You've had other incidents, but by far, this has been more the radical left going after conservatives.
Incredible that, being a politician is now a dangerous profession in the United States, Amanda. Maybe it has been for a lot longer.
Well, it's interesting, being from Iran and speaking on geopolitical issues in Iran. I always worry about that. But, I'm thinking that is something extreme in a country that's extreme. It should be safe in America. But when you have almost homegrown terrorism that's happening here, it's really scary for everyone who just wants to be a part of the process, people who just have that political bug. I know I did at a young age. Charlie Kirk did at a young age. He did, get involved in a campaign from his state of Illinois. That's what people do. And it makes me sad to think that we're now going to have to be afraid to do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Amanda Makki, a Republican strategist and attorney in Florida, thank you so much for your time. We'll chat again soon.